Commander Vex stood before the Grand Council of the Galactic Alliance, her iridescent scales dulled by the scars of countless battles. The massive chamber, with its towering crystalline walls and floating platforms, housed the most powerful beings in known space. Yet today, their expressions ranged from mild boredom to barely concealed disdain. "Honorable Council," Vex began, her auxiliary breathing apparatus whirring softly in the silence. "I come before you with urgent intelligence about a species we've been monitoring in the Sol system." She activated her neural interface, projecting a holographic image of Earth into the chamber's center. High Counselor Xylax, his multiple eye stalks swaying gently, raised a primary appendage. "Another primitive world. Commander, surely this doesn't warrant an emergency session." Vex's facial ridges contracted, the closest her species could come to a frown. "With respect, High Counselor, this species is unlike any we've encountered in our 12,000 cycles of exploration." The hologram shifted to show Earth's cities, its orbital stations, its bustling spaceports. In mere centuries, they'd progressed from burning hydrocarbons to achieving rudimentary faster-than-light travel. But it's not their technological progression that concerns me. "Then what does?" asked Counselor Mira, her crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. "Their weapons are primitive, their ships barely hold together, and they haven't even unified their planet." Vex's tail twitched, a sign of frustration that didn't go unnoticed by the more observant council members. "It's their adaptability, their innovation, their ability to turn any tool into a weapon, any defeat into a lesson." She changed the projection to footage from her personal reconnaissance mission. The images showed human ships conducting what appeared to be routine mining operations near their asteroid belt. "Watch this," she commanded, her voice taking on an edge of urgency. The footage showed a human mining vessel encountering an automated Alliance probe. The probe, following standard protocol, attempted to scan the vessel. Within seconds, the humans had modified their mining laser's frequency to match the probe's shields, disabled its sensors, and retrieved it for study, all with equipment that shouldn't have been capable of such precision. "Impossible," muttered Counselor Drek, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "Those are industrial tools, not weapons. Our shields are designed to withstand known weapons." Vex interrupted, earning several gasps at her breach of protocol. "Humans don't think like us. They don't follow our rules of engagement. They adapt. They improvise. They overcome." High Counselor Xylax leaned forward, his eye stalks focusing intently on the footage. "You seem unusually concerned about these humans, Commander. Perhaps your time in the frontier has made you paranoid." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Vex stood straighter, her scarred scales catching the light. "I've served the Alliance for 300 cycles. I've fought the Swarm, survived the Nexus War, and helped negotiate peace with the Collective. In all that time, I've never encountered a species that learns as quickly as humans do." She switched the projection again, showing human children at play. "Look at their young. From their earliest days, they're encouraged to question, to experiment, to break things apart and rebuild them. Their entertainment simulates warfare. Their games teach strategy. Their stories glorify victory against impossible odds." "How charmingly primitive," Counselor Mira chimed in, earning more chuckles from the assembly. Vex's voice turned cold. "I've watched them turn mining equipment into weapons in minutes. I've seen them adapt their tactics instantly when standard approaches fail. And most importantly, I've witnessed them sacrifice their own safety to protect others. Behavior our military simulations classify as highly improbable." She looked around the chamber, meeting each council member's gaze. "If we treat them as inferior, if we try to force our ways upon them, we will regret it. They are young, yes. Their technology is crude by our standards, certainly. But their minds—" She paused, letting her words sink in. "Their minds are unlike anything we've encountered." High Counselor Xylax raised himself to his full height, towering over the chamber. "Thank you, Commander Vex. While we appreciate your thorough analysis. The Council has more pressing matters to attend to. The humans will be dealt with according to standard protocols for pre-unified species. Standard protocols, Vex muttered, her auxiliary breathing apparatus hissing softly. That's exactly what I'm warning you about. They don't respond to standard anything. This session is concluded, Xylax announced, his eye stalks already turning away. You are dismissed, Commander. As Vex left the chamber, her steps echoing off the crystalline walls, she activated her neural interface one last time. The image that appeared before her was from Earth's historical archives, a small, primitive wooden vessel defeating a massive warship through cunning and adaptability. The humans called it David and Goliath. They're not ready, she whispered to herself. But neither are we. In her quarters later that night, Vex recorded one final log entry. They laugh now, but they haven't seen what I've seen. Humans don't just survive. They thrive on challenge. They don't just adapt, they evolve. And most dangerous of all, they don't just fight their enemies. They learn from them. The Council thinks their technology is primitive, their methods crude, their society chaotic. They see only what humans lack, not what they possess. Unlimited potential, unshakable resolve, and unwavering determination. By the time the Council realizes their mistake, it will be too late. The humans will have already learned everything they need to know about us. And then they'll show us just how primitive they aren't. Admiral Cathera stood on the command deck of the Alliance flagship Eternal Dawn, his crystalline form casting prismatic patterns across the tactical display. The Earth hung below them, a blue marble wrapped in a web of satellites and orbital stations. His mandibles clicked in amusement at their primitive construction. Status report, he commanded, watching as his fleet of 30 vessels arranged themselves in the standard contact formation that had served the Alliance for millennia. All ships in position, Admiral, his second-in-command reported. The humans' early warning systems have detected us, but their response appears disorganized. Commander Vex, ordered to observe the proceedings by the Council, stood silently in the corner of the bridge. Her scarred scales rippled with tension as she watched the tactical displays. Something wasn't right about the humans' seemingly chaotic movements. Send the standard greeting package, Cathera ordered. Let's show these primitives how civilized species conduct first contact. The message went out, a carefully crafted combination of mathematical sequences and universal constants that had initiated countless successful first contacts. The response came faster than anyone expected. Admiral, the communications officer called out, their tentacles writhing in confusion. They've not only decoded our message but responded in kind, with improvements to our compression algorithm. Cathera's crystalline structure flickered with surprise. Impossible. Their computers are barely beyond quantum architecture. How could they? Incoming transmission, the officer interrupted. They're requesting visual communication. The main view screen activated, revealing the human woman with graying hair and eyes that seemed to examine every detail of the alien bridge. This is Director Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to Sol Space. Cathera straightened, his form gleaming. I am Admiral Cathera of the Galactic Alliance. We come to welcome humanity into the greater galactic community. His universal translator converted his crystalline resonances into human speech. Your welcome involves 30 warships. Chen's expression remained neutral, but her eyes hardened. Interesting diplomatic approach. Merely standard protocol, Cathera responded smoothly. We find that a proper display of Alliance capability helps facilitate peaceful integration. Chen smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course, just as our own display is purely defensive in nature. Vex noticed it first, the subtle repositioning of human vessels throughout the conversation. Mining ships moving to specific coordinates, cargo haulers adjusting their orbits with precise burns, civilian stations rotating to present different aspects toward the Alliance fleet. Admiral, she spoke up, breaking protocol. Their movements. Not now, Commander, Cathera cut her off. Director Chen, We've analyzed your civilization and found it meets the minimum criteria for contact. The Alliance will guide your species' development, ensuring you avoid the common pitfalls of emerging civilizations. Chen's smile widened slightly. How generous. And if we prefer to develop at our own pace? That would be inadvisable. Keth Era's tone carried millennia of absolute authority. The Alliance protocols exist for good reason. Compliance is mandatory. I see. Chen glanced off screen, nodding to someone. And these protocols, they were developed with species like us in mind. They were developed for all species, Keth Era declared. The Alliance's wisdom is universal. Admiral. Vex tried again, her auxiliary breathing apparatus hissing with urgency. Their ships. A new signal interrupted her warning. Dozens of human vessels were powering up systems that hadn't appeared on any previous scans. Mining lasers shifted frequency, cargo teleporters pulsed with unexpected energy signatures, and shield harmonics began cycling in patterns that made no sense to Alliance sensors. What is this? Keth Era demanded, his crystalline form vibrating with anger. This, Chen replied calmly, is humanity demonstrating why assumptions can be dangerous. Those protocols you mentioned, they assume every species thinks the same way, develops the same way, fights the same way. We don't. The tactical display erupted with warnings. The humans' apparently random movements had positioned their ships in a three-dimensional web around the Alliance fleet. Mining lasers, reconfigured on the fly, now matched the exact frequencies of Alliance shields. Cargo teleporters had been modified to target specific ship systems rather than containers. This is impossible, Keth Era's second-in-command whispered. They're using industrial equipment as weapons platforms. Our simulations show this shouldn't work. Your simulations, Chen continued, are based on how you think. We've been watching your probe for months, learning your protocols, understanding your assumptions. Every piece of technology we have might be primitive by your standards, but we've learned to use it in ways you never considered. Vex stepped forward. I warned the Council about this. Humans don't just adapt technology. They reimagine its very purpose. Last chance. Admiral, Chen offered. Withdraw your fleet and return with diplomats instead of warships. We're happy to join the galactic community, but we'll do it as equals, not subordinates. Keth Era's form pulsed with outrage. You dare threaten the Alliance fleet with mining equipment. This is an outrage. All ships power up weapons. Show these primitives the cost of defiance. Wrong choice, Chen sighed. Commence Operation Prometheus. The space around the Alliance fleet erupted in chaos. Mining lasers struck shield generators with surgical precision, their frequencies matching harmonics that should have been impossible for humans to discover. Cargo teleporters, repurposed into weapon scramblers, created localized fields that disrupted targeting systems. Civilian stations revealed hidden bays launching swarms of small, agile craft that no Alliance simulation had accounted for. How? Keth Era demanded as his mighty fleet found itself paralyzed by technology it had dismissed as primitive. How did they know exactly where to strike? Because, Vex answered, watching as the humans systematically disabled the Alliance's most advanced ships with tools meant for construction and resource gathering. They think differently. They don't see limitations. They see possibilities. They don't follow protocols. They create solutions. Within hours, the mighty Alliance fleet hung powerless in space, disabled by a species they had planned to subjugate. Chen's face reappeared on the view screen, her expression now stern. Now then, Admiral, shall we discuss those protocols of yours? The Grand Council chamber erupted in chaos as the holographic replay of the Earth incident faded. High Counselor Xylax's eye stalks trembled with rage, while other council members spoke in hurried, overlapping voices. Impossible. They disabled our entire fleet. With mining equipment. Commander Vex stood at attention, her scarred scales reflecting the chamber's agitated lighting. As I warned you, The humans' approach to technology and warfare defies our expectations. This is unprecedented. Counselor Mira's crystalline form pulsed with distress. No species has ever dared to resist first contact protocols. The Alliance's authority must be maintained. High Counselor Xylax raised himself to his full height. Then we shall maintain it. Deploy the enforcement fleet. Show these humans the true might of the Alliance. In her corner of the chamber, Vex's auxiliary breathing apparatus hissed softly. With respect, High Counselor, escalation would be. You are dismissed. Commander, Xylax cut her off. Your warnings have been noted, but now it's time for action, not caution. As Vex left the chamber, she activated her neural interface, reviewing the data from the first contact incident. The humans hadn't just defended themselves. They had done so with elegant efficiency, turning every piece of available technology into an advantage. Her analysis was interrupted by a priority alert. The enforcement fleet had already begun its deployment. 3 days later, Admiral Cathera stood on the bridge of a new flagship, his crystalline form still bearing microscopic cracks from the previous encounter. Around him, 200 Alliance warships dropped out of hyperspace near Jupiter's orbit. This time, there would be no diplomatic overtures. All ships, battle formation, he commanded. Deploy the suppression field. A wave of energy rippled out from the Alliance fleet, designed to disable all technology operating below certain sophistication thresholds. By their calculations, this would render all human technology inert. Sir, his sensor officer called out, tentacles writhing in confusion. The humans, they're still operating. Their ships are changing. On the tactical display, human vessels were undergoing rapid transformations. What appeared to be makeshift patches and crude modifications revealed themselves as sophisticated adaptations. Solar collectors reconfigured into shield emitters. Communication arrays transformed into sensor jammers. Even their hull plating seemed to be reorganizing at a molecular level. How? Cathera demanded. Their technology shouldn't be capable of this. The answer came in the form of a transmission, not from Earth's military command, but from what appeared to be a civilian research station. A young human scientist, her eyes bright with excitement, appeared on screen. Fascinating approach with the suppression field, she said, her voice carrying genuine enthusiasm. We detected your fleet's energy signature days ago and hypothesized this might be your response. It gave us a wonderful opportunity to test our adaptive metamaterials. Cathera's form pulsed with disbelief. Test. You knew we were coming. Of course, she replied. After our last encounter, we figured you'd try something like this. The real question was, what could we learn from it? Your suppression field technology is actually quite elegant. We've already incorporated several of its principles into our defense systems. Across the solar system, human ships and stations continued their remarkable transformation. What the Alliance had dismissed as crude repairs and patches were revealed to be sophisticated modular systems, designed to adapt and evolve in response to new challenges. Sir, the tactical officer reported, we're detecting energy signatures throughout the system. The humans have converted their entire industrial infrastructure into a defensive network. Asteroids revealed hidden bases. Space debris reorganized into sensor arrays. Even their primitive orbital satellites showed signs of unexpected sophistication. Commander Vex, watching from a distant observation post, activated her secure channel to the Council. They're not just defending, she reported. They're learning. Every moment we engage them, they're analyzing our technology, understanding our tactics, and evolving their responses. The human scientist continued her cheerful explanation. Your first visit showed us exactly how your shields work. The suppression field helped us understand your approach to energy manipulation. Would you like to see what else we've learned? Without warning, the human vessels began emitting frequencies that exactly matched the Alliance fleet's shield harmonics. But instead of trying to disable them, they were synchronizing with them, creating interference patterns that transformed the shields into two-way conduits. Remarkable, isn't it? The scientist beamed. We realized we didn't need to break your shields. We could work with them instead. The principles are similar to how we modulate our mining lasers, just applied differently. Kethera watched in horror as his mighty fleet's most advanced defensive systems were turned into vulnerabilities. The humans hadn't just prepared for the Alliance's return. They had used the time to completely reimagine how the technology could work. All ships, fall back, he ordered, but it was too late. The humans' synchronized shield manipulation had created a cascade effect throughout the fleet. Ships lost power, weapons went offline, and communication systems dissolved into chaos. "Don't worry," the scientist assured them, still sounding genuinely excited about the whole thing. "We've made sure your life support systems will remain functional. We're not monsters after all. Besides, we have so many questions about your technology. Your crew's insights would be invaluable to our research." As the enforcement fleet hung powerless in space, Commander Vex recorded what would become a historic observation. The Council thought they were punishing rebellious primitives. Instead, they'd given humanity a crash course in advanced technology. The humans didn't just resist. They turned our own assumptions into weapons against us. They don't just copy technology, they reimagine it. They don't just fight battles, they transform them into learning opportunities. And now, they've done something even more remarkable. They've turned our attempt to suppress them into a chance to surpass us. The emergency session of the Grand Council lasted 3 full cycles. The mighty chambers, usually a model of order and protocol, had devolved into barely controlled chaos. High Counselor Xylax's eye stalks drooped with exhaustion as he reviewed the latest reports from the Sol system. 2 fleets, Counselor Mira whispered, her crystalline form clouded with stress fractures. 2 of our most powerful fleets, neutralized without a single human casualty. Commander Vex stood before them again, but this time there were no dismissive glances or condescending smirks. "The humans have moved beyond merely defending their system," she reported. "They're expanding, learning, evolving. And they're doing it with our own technology." The holographic display showed human ships venturing beyond their solar system, each vessel a hybrid of their primitive technology and reversed-engineered Alliance systems. But they hadn't simply copied Alliance designs. They'd transformed them, combined them in ways that the Alliance's brightest engineers had never considered. "Look at this," Vex continued, zooming in on a human mining vessel. "They've integrated our shield technology with their cargo teleporters. Instead of just moving materials, they're using the combination to restructure matter at a quantum level. They've turned mining equipment into manufacturing platforms." "Manufacturing what?" Xylax demanded. "Everything," Vex replied simply. "Ships, weapons, tools, but more importantly, ideas. They're not just building technology. They're reimagining what technology can do." The display shifted to show a human space station. What had once appeared to be crude repairs and patches were revealed as sophisticated adaptive systems. The entire structure was constantly evolving, learning from every scan, every transmission, every encounter with Alliance technology. "We thought their ships were held together by patches and prayers," Vex continued. "We were wrong. Those weren't patches. They were experiments, each one testing different combinations of materials and technologies, each one gathering data, each one part of a vast learning network." Counselor Drek's tentacles writhed in agitation. "But our technology is superior. Our civilization has existed for millennia. How can they possibly?" "Because they don't think like us," Vex interrupted. "We see technology as something to perfect. They see it as something to explore. We follow protocols. They create possibilities. We maintain stability. They embrace change." A new alert flashed across the display. Human vessels had been detected near several Alliance outposts, but they weren't attacking. Instead, they were trading, offering innovations and improvements that the Alliance had never conceived of. "They're not just learning our technology," Vex explained. "They're sharing their innovations with others. Several frontier worlds have already begun adopting human modifications to Alliance systems. They're calling it the Solar Revolution. High Counselor Xylax's form trembled. This cannot be allowed. The Alliance has maintained technological superiority for 12,000 cycles. We cannot let some upstart species. We don't have a choice. Vex cut in. The humans aren't asking for permission. They're not interested in our approval. They're exploring, innovating, and sharing their discoveries with anyone who's interested. And many are very interested. The display showed more evidence of human influence spreading through Alliance space. Their adaptive technology, their innovative combinations of different systems, their fundamental reimagining of what was possible. It was all spreading faster than the Alliance could contain it. Do you know what they call this? Vex asked, gesturing to the display. They call it open source. The concept that knowledge should be shared, that innovation should be collaborative, that progress belongs to everyone. It's not just technology they're spreading. It's an idea. A new transmission interrupted the session. The human scientist who had so cheerfully explained their defense innovations appeared on screen, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood representatives from dozens of Alliance worlds, each eager to collaborate with humanity's burgeoning technological renaissance. "Greetings, Council members," she smiled. "We thought you might be interested in our latest project. We've been working with some of your member worlds to develop what we call adaptive infrastructure. It's a fascinating synthesis of Alliance stability and human innovation. Would you like to see?" The display filled with images of Alliance worlds being transformed. Rigid, unchanging structures were becoming dynamic, adaptive systems. Traditional technology was being reimagined, reformed, reborn through the lens of human creativity. "This is revolt," Xylax declared, but his voice lacked conviction. "No," Vex corrected. "This is evolution. The humans aren't destroying the Alliance. They're transforming it. They're showing us possibilities we never imagined, not because we couldn't, but because we stopped trying." The human scientist's voice carried across the chamber. "We've learned so much from your technology, your history, your achievements. But perhaps the most important thing we've learned is this: the future doesn't belong to those who maintain the status quo. It belongs to those who dare to reimagine it." Commander Vex watched as the council members absorbed this truth. "You thought you were dealing with primitives who needed to be guided," she said softly. "Instead, you encountered teachers who showed us how much we had left to learn." 5 years after the first contact incident, the Grand Council chamber had transformed beyond recognition. Gone were the rigid crystalline structures and imposing platforms. In their place stood an adaptive architecture that shifted and flowed with the needs of its occupants, a living symbol of the changes sweeping through Alliance space. Commander Vex, now serving as Earth's official representative to the Alliance, stood before the Council not as a petitioner, but as an equal. Her scarred scales had been left untreated, a reminder of the path that had led them here. "The integration report," she announced, activating a holographic display that filled the chamber with a web of interconnected data streams. "Humanity's influence has reached 80% of Alliance space, but not in the way we once feared." The display showed worlds transformed not by conquest, but by collaboration. Alliance technology, merged with human innovation, had created something entirely new, systems that could adapt, evolve, and grow alongside their users. "They call it the adaptive revolution," Vex continued. "But it's more than just technological change. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about progress itself." High Counselor Xylax, his eye stalks now adorned with human-designed neural enhancers, spoke up. "When we first encountered humans, we saw them as primitives to be guided. How blind we were to the truth." The chamber's adaptive walls shifted, displaying scenes from across Alliance space. Traditional shipyards now produced vessels that could reconfigure themselves for different tasks. Medical facilities utilized hybrid technologies that combined Alliance precision with human adaptability. Educational institutions taught not just facts and protocols, but the art of innovation itself. Director Chen, now serving as Earth's Secretary of Interstellar Relations, appeared via hologram. "The greatest mistake the Alliance made," she observed, wasn't underestimating our technology. It was underestimating our perspective. The display shifted to show the latest collaborative project, a massive space station at the heart of Alliance territory. Unlike the rigid structures of the past, this one was constantly evolving, its very architecture learning and adapting to the needs of its inhabitants from dozens of different species. Humanity didn't just change our technology, Counselor Mira added, her crystalline form now integrated with adaptive systems that allowed for more nuanced expression. They changed how we think about change itself. A new figure stepped forward, Dr. Sarah Jung, the scientist whose cheerful explanations of human innovation had once shocked the Alliance fleet. The most powerful technology isn't the one that's most advanced, she explained. It's the one that can evolve. The most effective system isn't the one that's most stable. It's the one that can adapt. The display showed the spread of human influence across the galaxy, but it wasn't marked by conquered territories or subjugated worlds. Instead, it showed networks of collaboration, hubs of innovation, centers of shared discovery. We feared them, Vex recalled. We feared their potential for destruction, their capacity for warfare, but we should have paid more attention to their potential for creation, their capacity for transformation. The chamber's walls shifted again, showing the latest data from the frontier. Species that the Alliance had dismissed as primitive were now emerging as innovative partners, each bringing their own unique perspectives to the growing network of galactic collaboration. The humans had a saying, Xylax noted, his eye stalks swaying thoughtfully. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. We never truly understood what that meant until now. Dr. Jung smiled. It's not about whose technology is more advanced or whose civilization is older. It's about what we can create together. Every species has something to teach, something to learn, something to contribute. The display showed the newest generation of ships emerging from Earth's shipyards, vessels that combined Alliance power with human adaptability, enhanced by innovations from a dozen other species. They weren't just ships. They were symbols of what was possible when different perspectives came together. 5 years ago, Vex concluded, I stood in this chamber warning about humanity's potential. I was right about their capability, but wrong about what it meant. We thought their adaptability made them dangerous. Instead, it made them the catalysts for our own evolution. The chamber's adaptive walls pulsed with patterns that would have been impossible under the old regime. Beautiful, complex, ever-changing designs that represented the new order taking shape across the galaxy. The humans have a term for what's happening, Dr. Jung added. They call it emergence, when simple interactions lead to complex systems, when individual changes create collective transformation. That's what we're witnessing now, the emergence of a new kind of civilization. High Counselor Xylax rose to his full height, his eye stalks sweeping the chamber. Let the record show, he declared, that on this day, the Galactic Alliance officially recognizes what we should have seen from the beginning. Humanity didn't need our guidance. We needed their vision. Commander Vex touched her scarred scales, remembering the day she'd first tried to warn the Council. They laughed at my warning about humans, she mused. Now they laugh with humans as we explore the possibilities we never knew existed. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson humanity taught us. The future belongs not to those who cling to their certainties, but to those who dare to imagine something new.